Hi, it's Chris, aka Spielkinder.c, and I'll welcome you back to my second part of my Sierra unboxing, nostalgia feeling look at Sierra games. And we are back now with my favorite series, Space Quest. I always loved the things that the guys from Andromeda did with Space Quest, the humor and everything. And unlike a lot of the other Sierra games, I always played through the Space Quest. So I finished, I think at least, all of them, as far as I remember. And I think, like backwards at least, they weren't as hard as a lot of the other Sierra games. They still had the text parser thing like Larry and King's Quest, the early ones, but the worlds came so much easier to me, unlike the King's Quest games. So Space Quest was always easier for me with all the references, and me being a sci-fi fan, Star Wars, Star Trek and whatnot. It came a lot easier to me. You see the guys from Andromeda there. Exactly. I really always looked forward to a new Space Quest. But I'm sure I didn't solve Space Quest 1 exactly when it came out. I think I played them or found these games a lot later in my life. Not a lot, a few years later. At least at a point in my life where I was a lot better with the English language and could understand more, and had a bigger vocabulary. Just another great reason is, like, look at this beautiful comic that was included here in Space Quest 2, and all the ads in it alone are so much fun. That takes me back. And it's a really nice introduction into the game and all the Easter eggs and like Spock we just saw in that comic. I got that references. That was the big thing. In Larry there were a lot of how do you say it? You didn't know the sex bombs of the time, or at least I didn't know the sex bombs and the names that sometimes were dropped. So as well with King's Quest, I didn't know all the fairy tales. But here I was pretty aware of all the references that were thrown around. Ken Williams here again, the godfather of Sierra, and his wife missing right now. There in the corner, she might be Roberta Williams. Yeah, we just saw her. Anyway, these games were made and designed by Mark Crow and Scott Murphy, who themselves called them the two guys from Andromeda. Yeah, and they just had like the perfect kind of humor for me, at least. A nice catalog of what Sierra is offering at the time. When going through the games, you got all the funny references to Star Wars, like the cantina scenes in Space Quest 1, but also the mini games here and they weren't that brutal than sometimes in other Sierra games. But we're coming now to Space Quest 3. I think that actually was my first Space Quest. I played 2 and 1 later in my life, but I think 3 was the first I played and actually solved. For me alone, the start of the game with the junkyard is so super iconic and nostalgic for me. And all the ships that you see hidden in the background or foreground in that very beginning of the game. Just lovely. And the other really in my mind stuck scene was this little capsule little spaceship you were actually flying. I'll show a little picture of it here on screen now. Yeah, never forgot that. I always stuck for my first Space Quest moments. Yeah, and here I just wanted to compare. You see the Lunar Leaper disc is like the very first Sierra games looked like. The sleeve, you see the original address where Ken and Roberta Williams actually lived at the time, and yeah, they had like children from the neighborhood stick the stickers on the discs and everything. Anyway, I just wanted to show off the difference between the discs from much earlier games than the yeah, beautiful box games we bought later on. Yeah, and here again you see beautiful byproducts you got with these games. Yeah, that was like the mask you had to make, or could make. You see, with the green visor thing, and if you actually glued it together, then you got like this little snout. Yeah, and could wear it like goggles, which are apparent or similar to what the guys from Andromeda wear on the back on the box. So now we're getting to Space Quest 4, and a point where they started to rebrand it to the main character more, Roger Wilco, like Larry Leffer. And I think that was, and it still is, one of my favorites. Yeah, anyway, Space Quest 4, for me, one of the favorites, because it also was the start from Sierra being more point-and-click adventures. Less text parser thing, more actually work and use and walk to and stuff like that, just clicking, just like we saw in the manual there. But otherwise, this box is pretty empty. Not a lot in there. Just this little leaflet, again with some nice stories, I'm sure of. Can't remember it actually. These adverts, yeah, okay. That alone. Yeah, brilliant stuff as usual. Oh, that looks really horrible. Great poster in the middle there. No, don't get closer. Oh my god, what am I doing? Radio Shock? Radio Shack? Yeah, okay. Oh my. Great stuff. The point and click aspect of Space Quest 4 wasn't the only great thing. The other thing is just a step up on graphics, and yeah, it just looked beautiful, and was the first Space Quest that was, yeah, comparable with what LucasArts was doing, at least in my opinion. And that alone was a giant reason for sticking with the game. Yeah, and pretty much now, again with the lovely boxes, the next Roger Wilco or Space Quest 4. Yes, just show them together. Beautiful looking boxes. And like with the King's Quest or Larry series, the first boxes were like a nice book series that fitted together. Here again, we make in pretty similar time frame the switch to much thicker boxes, more popping colors. I guess so it's more visible, or was more visible in the shops, so it was popping out for the children, and it surely popped out for me. And yeah, here we go and have a look what's in it. I think that's not one of my original boxes. I don't think I had that anymore, so that's someone else's safe disc, which is pretty cool. And yeah, a lot of discs, but yeah, what a highlight. A proper news magazine included, and the really cool thing is, you see this side is in German, and if you turn it around, you get it in French. So yeah, for Europe, pretty nice thing. So you could have like 2 different languages. And again, the adverts, the articles, totally cool. Just love this kind of stuff in these boxes. I really miss that nowadays, yeah. Just thinking how much work went into these things. And then there were also hidden hints in these. If you read through these things, you had like yeah, a few ideas what to do in game actually. And you see there this fake making of where the designers actually make like paper cutouts from the scenes. Yeah, great. And generics, that's definitely a little hint to Dynamix, the other Sierra studio that makes beautiful adventure games as well. I will come to them later. Monolith Burgers, always a big point in Space Quest games. Marvelous, these things. Just look at this. Yeah, so reading was a lot of fun, and here Ken Williams in the arms of this aliens, 2-headed alien. Yeah, so reading these was really a cool thing, fun for its own, and it helped you maybe in the game. And then normal stuff, we get like a new normal manual we had like seen several times now. And what do we have here? For your PC. And yeah, a price list. Always shocking how expensive the games already were back then. We sometimes complain about high prices. They were pretty high already. And the well-known registry card that nobody uses. So, discs back in. Next game. And I think with Space Quest 6 we come to a point of diminishing returns where it starts not being so much my favorite anymore. Starts, you see, like the 3D graphics being included, and early 3D graphics just don't... yeah, they just don't held up as much as others. On the other hand, you had the CD with better audio on it, but yeah. Like with the other series, like King's Quest at the same point of time, and Larry, it just didn't have the same charm anymore, looks-wise. I mean, they tried to stay with the times. A little walkthrough was included here as well. Quite nice, yeah. Thank you very much. And okay, some notes probably for some puzzles. And that's about it. Again, pretty lame as soon as we get in the later games. And the size is weird as well. You see like the thin early games, the thicker later and then what the hell? It's longer for what? That looks shitty in your shelf. So now, from my view at least, a totally underappreciated series, Hero's Quest, or better known as Quest for Glory. Because they had to change the name pretty early on. Hero's Quest is like the very first release of the game, and they got like some problems because the name was already taken, and so they had to rebrand it as Quest for Glory. And yeah, I think it's one of the absolutely hidden gems. A lot of people don't know about this game and or games. And I think it's super depressing that the whole point and click genre always was looking for a new way to invent itself, and what kind of ended up in splitting in something like Myst later on. On the other hand, RPGs kind of became the adventure games. And there was actually one game that tried to bring it all together, and that was the Quest for Glory series. It was an RPG, kind of Skyrim kind of game, that wasn't point and click adventure, or not quite a point-and-click adventure because we have the text parser thing still, but yeah, you had a character, you had to choose between different classes. That kind of changed the whole gameplay, which is awesome because you had several ways for another playthrough, and you leveled actually skills that you needed for solving puzzles. And yeah, absolute go-to was the thief for that series, at least for me. But yeah, every other class you could choose totally changed the game, or at least changed it quite a lot. There you see Quest for Glory 2, that's where that name change came to. You had at the end, I think, 4 Quests for Glory games. But for me personally, just the first 2 were brilliant, and I kind of lost it later on. I think, no, I just looked it up. It were actually 5 Quest for Glory games. I think 3 was pretty good as well, but I don't have that box. But 1 and 2 were just, yeah, I love these 2. And yeah, you had, I just can't say it enough. It's just amazing. You could choose like the fighter, a magic user, or a thief. I don't think there were other classes, but at the beginning of the game. And yeah, again, look at the beautiful manuals included, and I think we'll see a beautiful map now. Yeah, exactly, that comes. And yeah, it was a proper RPG. Yeah, you needed throwing skills and to level those up, and I think that should have been or could have been the future for the adventure genre, or at least one that was more complex, and people later on really loved the RPG genre. And I personally as well played a lot of RPGs later on, especially like things like Final Fantasy, and it was like a replacement for the adventure games. But the puzzles were actually lacking in these kind of games, and I think Sierra had a real good point, a different way to grab this genre with these kind of games, and I'm really sad it never took on. And another one of the brilliant other ways to make an adventure game, in this case it's the Colonel's Bequest, also known as the Laura Bow series. And yeah, brilliant game. There was a second Laura Bogue game that was the Dagger of Amun-Ra. I don't have that one, and I have never played the second one, but I have played this one. And yeah, it was really different. You needed to collect information about the characters and relationships, and yeah, you could solve this game with actually solving any puzzles. If you believe Wikipedia, at least, I know I needed to save puzzles, and we are also back to the old Sierra spiel of dying a lot, but yeah, it was a really different pace and very different game. And here, lovely the copy protection with the looking glass here. It's really cool. But yeah, you had a very different feel of point and click adventure game. It was a murder mystery game, basically like Agatha Christie or Hitchcock game stories. Yeah, it was really interesting and different for the time, and yeah, kind of was left there as well in the end and died off. I think Roberta Williams was really into that series, and sadly didn't had a great big fan base like other games. And yeah, that's the Sierra throwback unboxing, looking at video for this time. A next is definitely coming, where we'll be talking about Police Quest and the few Dynamix games I wanted to show off, as they had, like I said before, some really cool point and click adventures as well as two. And again, they did a lot of different things with the point and click adventure genre that kind of were totally missed at that time. I don't know why the whole genre was so on its way to doom, while so many companies had so great ideas what else could be done with the formula of a point and click adventure game. And instead we got like, yeah, pretty on-rail games like Myst, Journeyman Project, which were all good and fine on their own right, but yeah, they just weren't the same genre anymore, and they weren't the evolution they were promising, at least. But yeah, that's a whole different story for maybe a different video, I don't know. But for sure, I'm going to do the next video, as I said, for Police Quest and the Dynamix games. Would be really nice to see you there. And maybe you like to like and subscribe. And maybe even click that bell thingy down in the corner, so that you keep informed when I upload another video like this one, or maybe one of my touch and feel videos. Maybe you like those, maybe not. And have a great one. Chris out.